My name is Sean Patton, and I will be leading this talk on EcoFlora. So I think we are going to go ahead and get started. So, hi everyone. My name is Sean Patton. I'm a relatively new face around Selby. You might not have seen me too much as I got hired right before the apocalypse hit. And of course, you all are probably very familiar with Elizabeth. Hi, do you want
Hi,
to?
I'm Liz Gandy, and I work here in the botany department. And I work a lot with the EcoFlora project, which you're going to learn about today. And as Sean mentioned, I'll be happy to answer questions. So if you have anything, questions or comments, please put them in the chat, and or the Q&A is fine too, and I'll be monitoring. And we either answer them in type or we'll answer them live if need be. So okay, thanks to all of you for being here.
All right, now let's get started into a riveting presentation about how you can join our citizen science initiative, the EcoFlora project, to help not only support our scientists and staff at Selby, but to also help us find new species in Sarasota and Manatee counties and join a worldwide effort of plant and animal conservation. All right, so this EcoFlora project is brought to you by Marie Selby Botanical Gardens. And this is the Sarasota Manatee EcoFlora project. And what this is this is a joint group led by Bruce Holst, the Vice President of Botany, and myself and Lisa Daly are the coordinators of the project. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to talk to us. You can get in touch with us through any of the garden staff. And again, if you have any questions, ask Elizabeth Gandy, and you can submit your name and your question in the chat. And so Bruce Holst leads the project. Lisa and I are the coordinators. Liz is just the powerhouse that keeps everything running. Tracy Calla has recently stopped working on the project and will soon be replaced by Anastasia. And of course, Jeannie is always going to be helping us do anything at Selby. She is a wonderful person. All right, so the origins of EcoFlora. This is a large, long-term project started by the New York Botanical Garden, and it's an initiative to create the first one-stop online database of New York City's naturally occurring plant species. But the EcoFlora project as a whole is built on that, and it's basically trying to create a catalog of all plants and animals in the world. Though obviously at Marie Selby Botanical Gardens, we're going to be focusing on our Sarasota and Manatee plant species. And we're really just expanding on this project. And we're actually working with a number of other gardens, including the Denver Botanic Gardens, the Desert Botanical Garden in Arizona, the Chicago Botanic Garden, and of course the New York Botanical Garden, which helped to start all this. And between these 5 gardens and the countless other people who are using the iNaturalist app around the world to take these photos and make observations, we have hit over 300 million observations and found countless species of plants and animals for conservation and research. So, what is EcoFlora? I'm just going to move my head to the right. So, the Sarasota Manatee EcoFlora project has 2 main goals. The first is to engage Floridians in protecting and preserving the state's native plant species. And obviously at Selby, we have a particular penchant for the epiphytes. So we have some ongoing projects on all epiphytes and all plants in general. And we want to just have new original observations and data on our state's plants to better inform policy decisions, management, conservation, sustainable development, and a whole host of different projects, and also to know areas that might be in need of, say, habitat restoration or other purposes like that. So the goals of EcoFlora. And again, all this is done using the iNaturalist app, which we'll get into in a little bit, but you're basically taking an app on your phone or on your computer and uploading photos that you take in the wild. And so by using this, it's really easy to create a community of local naturalists. Obviously at Selby, especially if you're listening to this, you're a volunteer for Selby. We want to create a community of naturalists and environmentalists, and we want to empower you with the science and knowledge and a connection to nature. And a lot of times people working on this project are going to come into contact with plants that they aren't familiar with. Many people work at Selby because they have a love of orchids, but my specialty was water plants. So being able to get out of my comfort zone and literally get into the trees, or say we did an entire month on cactuses, I don't work with cactuses very much in lakes and wetlands. So you get to have a connection to all of nature and really work with a variety of plants, which is great for this project. Or if you do just have that one favorite, oftentimes we do eco quests and bio blitzes focusing on specific species. And through this, we study and improve our understanding of plants in Southwest Florida to promote conservation. A big thing that we've done through this project is we've already found 4 species that were not on the Florida Plant Atlas in Sarasota and Manatee counties. So we're finding new species and finding out where their home ranges are. We can monitor species as they move due to climate change. And it's just a wonderful tool to help promote conservation and restoration. And of course, we can connect iNaturalist data with other scientific resources like the Florida Plant Atlas. And having all this data makes people like Liz, who use a lot of this data in her day-to-day work, it makes their lives a lot easier. It makes their programs and research a lot more robust. So you're not only helping unknown scientists across Florida, you're helping the scientists right here at Selby Botanical Gardens. Yeah, and this project is just amazing to see for a variety of different reasons. There's so many different ways to get involved. We have some people who have taken a few photos of just a few different plants and animal species, all the way to some people have over 45,000 plant identifications or insect identifications and hundreds of observations. I myself have made over 1,000 observations just on our local project alone. It's very easy to use and very easy to get involved. And so each observation can contribute to biodiversity science, from the rarest butterfly to the most common backyard weed. We share your findings with scientific data repositories like the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, GBIF, and to help scientists find and use your data. And for those of you who are concerned, like say you find an endangered plant in the wild, it will actually scramble the location of those plants so that only the scientists can see where those are. So let's just say, for instance, that this is a map of a rare butterfly. By seeing where local hotspots are, we might be able to see, oh, this is a great area for butterfly diversity or cactus diversity or any plant or insect that you want to see. And oftentimes when talking about plant diversity and plant conservation, you have to keep in mind other species that depend on that. So some plants are pollinated by certain insects. If we lose those insects, we lose the plants as well. And so using iNaturalist, because it takes into account all the plants and animals, it can really help us get like a picture of the ecosystem itself. And so this is the one thing that we want everyone to join. This is the Sarasota Manatee EcoFlora page. This is our main project. We are up to over 16,000 observations by now, thousands of species. I believe we have hundreds of identifiers and hundreds of observers. And so anytime you make a plant observation in Sarasota or Manatee County, it is uploaded to this project. And we want you to go to here on the iNaturalist app and join the project. It's very easy. The app is free. And once you join that, you'll start to see our journal, which has updates on BioBlitzes, eco quests, which are like the plants that we focus on that month. And we encourage you to just get out there and take pictures of any plant you see in the wild or in urban areas. We want to know what's growing in your backyard. We want to know what plants are surviving, what plants are popping up, everything from the smallest weed to the largest tree. And again, this has so much support for scientific research. This is a big reason why we're doing it. We've been doing plant research and conservation at Selby Gardens since its inception in 1973. And a lot of staff scientists are looking at some big questions like, what do we call plants? How are plants related to each other? Where do they grow in nature? How can we grow them in captivity? How do plants relate to one another? How do they relate to insects? How can we conserve and protect plants? How can plants serve us? How can we get medicines from plants or use them? And in everything from, science, like, medical research to art. Selby does a lot of art shows, and so they add to our culture as well. So having all this is really important information for our botany staff. And one other really useful thing for iNaturalist is for the longest time, we've been having to use press specimens and spirit specimens, which don't really, these are the same plant. This is Encyclia tampensis, our native butterfly orchid. When we have a press specimen, yes, we have the DNA and we have the physical plant, but you don't see the color. It's hard to see the 3D structure. And sometimes you're missing out on a lot of other information, like how did this plant grow in the wild? Where exactly was it growing? And by combining this information with iNaturalist, not only do we get these full color images, we get very exact GPS coordinates. We can sometimes see, oh, this plant is growing on this kind of tree. And sometimes that information is lost, especially with older herbarium specimens. And so we really, the more information we can get from where these plants are, the iNaturalist, the better. And iNaturalist has a whole host of information and metadata that we can use, which is really useful for science. And again, Selby Gardens has the most extensive living epiphyte collection in the world, and one of our ongoing long-term research projects are epiphytes in Florida. And so you see a lot of people bringing epiphytes from other countries, and we want to make sure that some of those aren't becoming invasive species or bringing pests like the Mexican bromeliad weevil. We also want to conserve our native epiphytes and also just see what epiphytes are out there. We're constantly discovering new species or native species that have expanded ranges that might be larger than we thought. And so real quick, just some wonderful native epiphytes. Everyone's familiar with the ball moss and the Spanish moss, but we have quite a few different epiphytes, and many people don't even realize that we have a few different orchids. We have butterfly orchids and greenfly orchids, which are epiphytic. We have bog orchids, which grow on the ground. Not epiphytes, but they're still orchids, and they're still very cool. We have rare and sometimes endangered species like the giant air plant and the cardinal air plant, which we always want to keep track of in the wild, especially because they are currently being eaten to the endangered species list by the Mexican bromeliad weevil. So we want to keep an eye on these plants and the weevils that are feeding on them. And of course, there's many, many different interesting ferns. My personal favorite is the resurrection fern, and it's nice to see when are these ferns, full? When are they dying? When are any of these plants blooming? And this is information that you can have on iNaturalist. You can record when plants are blooming, when they're fruiting, when they're seeding. And there's so much information that you can get. And this app is so useful for science and also to help you identify these plants. The app will help you. And for some plants like Spanish moss, it's almost 100% accurate and gets it every single time.
Okay, so you've installed the iNaturalist app and created an account. Time to get outside and record your first observation. Here's how to do it. Any living thing, like a plant, animal, or fungus, can be an observation on iNaturalist. Once you find something you'd like to record, just tap Observe and take a photo. You can review your picture, then hit Next if it looks good. To identify it, hit What did you see? If you have an internet connection, iNaturalist will suggest 10 visually similar species and often a common ancestor. You can choose one of those or search for a species name. On this observation details screen, you can add more photos of the same organism or write a note. The date, time, and location have been automatically added. You can also change the geoprivacy of the observation, mark whether it's captive or cultivated, or add it to a project. Once you're finished, just hit Share and your observation will be uploaded for everyone to see and identify. That's it. Keep on exploring and sharing.
Can you hear me, Liz?
Yes.
All right, just double checking. So as you can see, the app is very easy to use. And if you're using the computer app as well, so you take photos on a GPS camera, or you can go in and manually put where you found the plants, you can do this on the computer as well. And that has even more information that you can add about the plants. So while we always advise that you put as much information about the plants as possible, you can also do it just with the phone app, and that gives us quite a bit of information as well. And so it's very simple. You download the iNaturalist app or visit inaturalist.org, make an account, and we definitely recommend, putting a picture of yourself so that we know who we're talking to, or have a unique call sign, and then join the Sarasota Manatee EcoFlora project. And again, it's in that upper right-hand corner. and photograph plants anywhere in Sarasota, Manatee County. And honestly, anywhere you go, be sure to use the app, whether you're on a nature trail or in your own backyard. Any photos help iNaturalist, but we really want to know about the plants in Sarasota and Manatee County specifically, and post your observations to iNaturalist. And again, this is the basic stuff. And if you want to start getting more advanced, like say you find an insect pollinating on a flower, make 2 posts, one for the insect, one for the plant, and then tag them in each other. And there's all sorts of interesting ways you can use iNaturalist. And so now we're going to talk about taking identifiable photos. I don't want to see any of you taking a photo of a tree 200 yards away, expecting us to be able to identify it. Doesn't work. They have such a catchy jingle, but yes, it is always better to take more photos of a plant than fewer. Photos of the stems, leaves, trunk if it's a tree, fruits, flowers, roots if it's a floating plant or a plant that has roots that are above ground, or unique structures are all fair game and always help us make an identification. And even if we can't get to the exact species, or you in the app can't figure out the exact species, post with the next highest thing. So if you don't know the species, go for the genus or the family or the order, or just put plant your rely on our wonderful botany staff or other iNat users to help me identify. So if you're not sure, just go up a little bit higher. And so these are some wonderful plants, well, pictures that I took of an ocean blue morning glory. And you can see also, oh, I forgot one. Always take a picture of the habit as well. Where and how is the plant growing? Some plants have unique habits that they grow in. And so here you have the habit, the flower buds, and we get a good photo of the stem here, the leaf, and you can take a picture of the top and bottom of the leaf. And of course, flowers and fruit are some of the most distinct forms plants grow in. So be sure to get those if they're available. And of course, if you see any insects or any unusual damage or anything, more information is always better. All right. And of course, where would this be unless we could give you a quest? These are our Eco Quests. These are monthly, basically challenges that we put out where we try to get you to find the coolest plants. So for example, in September, we did Florida's Fantastic 15. And now for December, we're doing Home for the Holidays, which is where we look at the Ilex genus. So these are holly bushes like Yalpon or Dahoon hollies, and these are common landscape plants. So be sure to go to the main project page and check out that journal to see what quests are available. And each month we have new quests, and we also have long-term things that we're always looking at. So we're always looking for epiphytes, we're always looking for bromeliad weevils, and there's always more you can do. And you can get volunteer hours with EcoFlora. So I know a lot of volunteers are sad that we can't all be crammed into the greenhouses weeding. Believe me, I miss doing a lot of weeding with people too. But now you can go out into the wilds and get some great photos and still support science in Selby by volunteering with EcoFlora. So be sure to contact Vera if you want to volunteer with EcoFlora, and there's actually going to be a great way to volunteer on December 15th. So we are doing a BioBlitz on December 15th at Riverview Point Park. It's December 15th, 9 a.m., probably to about 12. we'll probably end a little bit before then, but we'll be going out into the wilds of the park and looking for a variety of plants. We're trying to do a botanical inventory. We're also working with some Manatee County staff to help them find and identify plants in these parks. We are also trying to help be a tool to local government to help really conserve species in these areas. Space is limited, so if you other volunteers are interested, and feel free to tell your friends at Selby, please email us at ecoflora@selby.org so we can put you down. We don't want to have 50 people at this, but we can definitely have up to 20, and we'll split into smaller groups. So again, if you ever have any questions, my name is Sean Patton. I am your EcoFlora coordinator, and you can reach me at ecoflora@selby.org or call our little Selby number right there, but definitely email is the easiest way to contact us and help us come find all the beautiful plants and flora that we have in the Sarasota Manatee EcoFlora Challenge. All right.
And two, also, if I could just plug the BioBlitz as well, it would be a great opportunity to spend some time in the field with experienced iNaturalist users and experienced botanists to help you with how to use it and how to take, as Sean mentioned, pictures that are the best, most identifiable pictures. So we definitely would welcome you, and we, of course, will be following social distancing and wearing our masks, etc. So hopefully we'll have a safe environment but outdoors, and it's a fantastic opportunity to see some parks that you might not normally go to, and also be able to make a contribution, as Sean mentioned, to the botanical knowledge of that park for the managers that take care of it. Oftentimes they really depend on outside expertise to help them know what plants they have there, and we can really make a good contribution to that. So we definitely would welcome you to attend that.
Yes, and having more scientists and volunteers out there. More volunteers means more eyes for plants, more scientists. Like, for instance, not everyone is an expert in every field. I specialize in aquatics. Sally, another scientist in botany, specializes in ferns. And so if we can get out there, we can help identify some of these more distinct plants easier. And so if you know any other volunteers who were not able to make it to this training, or who volunteers who you think might be good for this. And in the future, we'll have more BioBlitzes open to the public as well. We're trying to be very safe during COVID and start doing these BioBlitzes small. So if you know any other volunteers who are interested, please let them know. And again, it is December 15th at 9 a.m. to noon at Riverview Point Park. We want people to be there at 9 a.m. so we can split into teams and give everyone the safety talk. And so I'll leave this up for a few more minutes. Are there any questions?
Yeah, and if you do come to the BioBlitz, just definitely bring your device with the app already loaded, or a camera that's GPS enabled, because it's very important for you to have coordinates for where you make your observation. So that's one of the reasons why you need to have some kind of GPS enabled device or camera. You can load images into iNaturalist without that, but you do have to what we call georeference, which is find where you were on a map and tell iNaturalist where you were. So if
and that's a lot easier said than done.
Yes, it can be a lot of work. So it's definitely preferable to have your latitude and longitude.
And the number one question we get all the time is, why is this important? And in addition to helping our lovely botany department with the work that they do, and scientists all over the world monitor plants and all the information that you get from iNaturalist, it's also just finding out where these plants are. Since we started the project, we've already found more than 4 species that we did not know were in Sarasota and Manatee counties directly due to this project. And we have found one invasive species. Liz was actually the one who found it, and I was the one who recorded it. It was my first botanical specimen. I love to brag about that. And so there's a lot of great information that we can get. And keep in mind that some of these invasive species cost literally billions of dollars in local and state economies. So this is definitely a project that can have economic impacts as well as scientific impacts as well. And plus, it's just great to get you out there into the community of other naturalists and environmentalists. You'll meet a lot of great people through this project. I know I have.
And it definitely helps you look with different eyes also. The whole point behind starting iNaturalist is to help people become more observant of the natural world around them, whether it's your backyard, your street that you walk your dog on, or out in a park. There's no right or wrong place to make an observation, or right or wrong thing to make an observation of. So but it helps you. It definitely changes your perspective about things very quickly if you're not used to looking for those details. So it's really powerful that way.
We did an entire month focused on flora underfoot, which are like small ground covers and sidewalk cracks. And I had no idea the sheer diversity there. And I even ended up learning more about a sage that was a ground cover, so that when you step on it, it smells nice. And usually when you step on things in sidewalk cracks, they don't smell very good. So that was wonderful to learn about. All right. Well, I think I'm going to stop sharing this. I think everyone's seen the Riverview Park BioBlitz and has our email. Are there any questions that we can help people out with? Any comments, concerns about the project? Feel free to type in the chat. If you have a question, feel free to email it to us. If you have any questions or you want to join the BioBlitz coming up. And again, feel free to tell other volunteers who might not have been able to make it, or possibly if we ever bring out a spouse, especially if they're interested in photography or plants. We're here to help engage with the public.
Yep.
I can also just keep ranting if you all want. I'm very good at that.
Well, I think we're good. If nobody has any other questions, of course, you have Sean's email. Please definitely send us any questions anytime, or if you have questions while trying to operate the iNaturalist app, you can always send those to us, and we will definitely try to help you through whatever you're stuck on.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming, and I hope you all have a good day.
All right. Thank you, everyone.